Now, it was a quiet summer day back in '69 when little Dennis Martin, just 6 years old, up and vanished without a trace while playing hide-and-seek in one of America's most famous national parks. Folks came out by the hundreds to search high and low, but not a single clue ever turned up. What really happened to Dennis that day? Did he get lost in that thick old wilderness, or was there something a whole lot darker that took him? This here tale comes from a disappearance just south of Kentucky's border that's haunted the Great Smoky Mountains for more than 50 years now. A spine-chilling mystery that just don't make no sense and still ain't got no answer. Well, the year was 1969. In the thick, rolling fog of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, one of the most puzzling disappearances in American history went down, a case so strange it still sends a shiver down the spine of anybody who hears it. It was Father's Day weekend, and the Martin family was looking to get out of the city and soak up the wild beauty of the Smokies. For 6-year-old Dennis Martin, it was supposed to be a weekend of adventure, exploring, and fun with his kin. But instead, it turned into a nightmare they never could have imagined. On June 14, 1969, the Martins, little Dennis, his daddy William, his older brother Douglas, and his granddaddy set up camp at Spence Field, a grassy spot right up on the Appalachian Trail. It was a peaceful place, far from the hustle and bustle, with views that stretched way out over them mountains. Nobody could have guessed that just a few hours later, that peaceful scene would be filled with fear and confusion. The boys were playing nearby, along with some kids from a campsite next door. Dennis, being a curious and lively 6-year-old, was eager to explore. Round about 4:30 in the afternoon, the young'uns decided to play a game of hide-and-seek, and Dennis went running off to hide behind a bush. His daddy, William, watched him go, smiling to himself, never thinking for a second that'd be the last time he'd ever lay eyes on his boy. Seconds turned into minutes. The other young'uns came running out from their hiding spots, laughing and carrying on, but little Dennis didn't show. William's smile faded, and a knot of worry started building in his chest. He called out to Dennis, "Nothing." He ran over to where Dennis had been hiding. That old bush was empty. In a flash, panic took hold of the Martin family. William took off down the trail, yelling his boy's name over and over. He ran 2 miles in under 30 minutes, hoping with all his might he might just catch a glimpse of Dennis somewhere up ahead. But there weren't nothing. No footprints, no bent branches. Not a trace of that little boy who, just minutes before, had been playing right in front of him. As the sun started slipping behind the mountains, the peaceful campground turned into a scene of chaos. William and the others spread out, hollering for Dennis, but the thick, unforgiving woods just swallowed up their voices. The Smokies ain't no joke. It's steep cliffs, thick underbrush, and fast rivers, a place where even a grown man could get himself lost real easy. By nightfall, the park rangers got the word, and a full-scale search kicked off. The next morning, they ramped it up even more. Hundreds of volunteers, Boy Scouts, and even some Green Berets came in to help. Helicopters buzzed over the treetops, and bloodhounds sniffed their way through the forest floor, trying their best to pick up Dennis's scent. But despite all that manpower and fancy gear, they found nothing. As the days turned into weeks, desperation set in. They combed every last inch of Spence Field and the woods beyond. But there was no sign of Dennis. No clothes, no tracks, nothing. All they found was a silence that could freeze your blood. While the Martins and all them search teams were combing through the woods, Another family, the Keys, was out hiking just a few miles away over near Cade's Cove. That evening, they told folks about hearing this high-pitched scream echo through the forest, one of them bone-chilling, unnatural sounds that'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand straight up. Not long after, they spotted something strange, a figure darting through the trees. At first, they thought it was a man, but not just any man. He looked rough-like, dirty, ragged, and moving fast through the thick woods, like he knew every nook and cranny of that forest. They even said he looked like he was carrying something slung over his shoulder, something that might have been a small child. The Keys, not knowing about the search for Dennis, didn't put two and two together right away. It was only later they got to thinking that maybe that scream and that strange fella might have had something to do with Dennis disappearing. But by the time they put it together, it was too late. That man, if that's what he was, had melted into the wild, never to be seen again. As the search dragged on with nothing to show for it, the questions started piling up, each one more unsettling than the last. How could a 6-year-old boy just up and disappear in broad daylight just a few feet away from his own kin? How could a search with hundreds of trained folks, helicopters buzzing overhead and a bloodhound sniffing around turn up nothing, not even a scrap of clothing or a single footprint? Some folks started reckoning that Dennis might have fallen victim to the rough land out there. Maybe he stumbled into one of them sinkholes or caves that's sprinkled all over the Smokies. Others feared he might have got swept away in one of those swift mountain streams. But no sign of a fall or drowning ever turned up. Then there was that one theory that sent a shiver down the spine of everyone following the case. Was Dennis taken? The strange figure that the Key family spotted kept casting a shadow over the investigation, but nobody could pin down if it had anything to do with Dennis. Could there have been someone out there, living off the grid in the deep woods, who might have snatched him up? The eerie landscape of the Great Smoky Mountains, with its wide, untouched wilderness, only fed into even darker tales. Some folks whispered about feral people living way back in them hills. Wild, hidden communities that cut themselves off from the outside world. Others pointed to the area's old stories of Sasquatch sightings, wondering if maybe Dennis got taken by something that wasn't quite human. Now, all these theories stayed in the realm of speculation, but they showed just how desperate folks were to find answers in a case that seemed like it couldn't be explained no way, no how. Dennis Martin's disappearance became one of the first and most talked about cases in what folks would later call the missing 411 phenomenon, a term made up by a former cop and investigator named David Paulides. He noticed that Dennis's story had some downright eerie similarities with hundreds of other folks who went missing in U.S. national parks and wild places over the years. These cases often involve young'uns, seasoned hikers, or hunters who vanish all of a sudden with no good explanation. Most times, it happens way out in the boonies, and there's always these creepy details, no signs of a struggle, dogs that can't pick up a scent, and strange weather that seems to blow in right when searching gets started. With Dennis, a heavy rainstorm hit the Smokies just a few hours after he disappeared, washing away any tracks or clues that might have been left behind. It's just one of those details that makes the whole thing feel even more mysterious, like something ain't right and never will be. It's been over 50 years since little Dennis Martin disappeared, and still, nobody's got answers. For the Martin family, the heartache from that day never did fade. Even with all them search crews, all the theories and supposed sightings, not a single trace of Dennis ever turned up. What really happened to Dennis Martin out in those woods that day? Did he wander off too far and get caught up in that harsh wilderness? Or did something, or someone, take him, hiding in the shadows? The truth, just like Dennis, is still lost somewhere deep in the thick, quiet forests of the Great Smoky Mountains. So what do y'all reckon happened to Dennis Martin? Was it a tragic accident in the wild, or is there something darker lurking out there? Could it have been an abduction? Or maybe something even stranger hiding in them Smoky Mountains? We'd love to hear what y'all think. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you heard tales of other folks disappearing in national parks? We read every single comment, and who knows, your thoughts might just point us toward our next story to dig into. If you like to take in this deep dive into one of America's most bone-chilling unsolved mysteries, go on and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out. And if you want to hear more about unsolved mysteries, spooky legends, and strange encounters, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, stay curious, stay cautious, and stay tuned for more chillin' tales right here on Kentucky Melody.